I think about goals and setting goals, and tonight is Friday night, and I love that it's January 1st. I was about to say December 1st. I have my old calendar up there, but Friday night with Anthony White, and one of the biggest, I guess, desires that I've always had is just to serve, really, just to serve everybody. I have a few passions in my life. One of them is the orange tie guy. And it really is just what it represents, which is optimistic, receptive, attractive, nurturing, genuine, enthusiastic, and also thought investment encouragement. And one of the biggest indicators that I've kind of realized, I guess, in my life and trying to think about all that I do and all that I say is I really just want to serve other people. It's interesting because I downloaded this app. It's actually pretty cool. I'm actually grateful for it. And it's one of those apps that pretty much lets you kind of just keep a journal, so to speak. And it's called Day One. And with Day One, and I don't even know if I have my phone. No, I don't have it linked, but maybe for a future episode or something that I'll have it linked and I can show you exactly what it looks like, or at least what I show in there. But I'm on a hot streak. I'm on an 18-day streak of actually leaving journal prompts and thoughts. And one of the coolest things about it is just kind of when you got that inspiration, you kind of jot it down and stuff. I look at Facebook because that's kind of the only social medium that I kind of look at. I mean, I have an Instagram account, I've got Twitter, I've got, pretty much everything under the sun. But at the same time, I don't really look at those. And it's actually been probably about, I don't know, it's been a few months. I've kind of done the, give thanks challenge. I've done the, a few of these optimistic, grateful kind of challenges during Thanksgiving time and even Christmas, about remembering Christ and thinking of Him. But one of the biggest things I've done is I've kind of stayed away because ultimately I've started to notice that on Facebook, it's more of a collection of wanting to see if people are willing to kind of like participate. Today I gave a thumbs up to a friend, David, who was saying, hey, these are some books that I'm planning on reading this year, give me some insight. And one of them was The Magic of Thinking Big. And I love that book. It was a book I read probably about 4 years ago, and it was just powerful and awesome. I couldn't put it down. But for me, I've been wanting to create an online coaching course for actually a long time. But I realized something that's interesting about myself. I'm a perfectionist. I mean, you can see the anarchy behind me. I mean, I've got my whiteboard over here. I've got like a billion other whiteboards, easels, basically boom mic stands, stuff like that, all behind me. But it's fascinating because what I've recognized is as I've kind of tried to orchestrate this and be kind of a one-man show, so to speak, it's crazy how I have to get out of my head. I've realized how important it is to have other people around to be able to kind of ground you, so to speak. Because if you get stuck in your own head, sometimes you get lost, and that's terrible. To put it mildly, it's terrible to get lost in your own head, especially if you've got about 5 billion things that are going on in your mind. But as today being, Friday night with Anthony White, so to speak, didn't really start on time, and I haven't really orchestrated what time of day I want to do this, and it really all depends on what people want. Honestly, I just figure I'm going to try to be a Joe Rogan. Granted, I don't really care about sports or, like fighting or anything like that, but when it comes to people's issues and problems, I've been able to help people for over 20 years. And I'm grateful for that privilege and that blessing to be a life coach, to have been able to help people with relationships. I'm better off. And I had this conversation with a friend, Derek, the other day at another friend's wedding, Nate and Ashley Dawes now. But it was cool because when I was having a chat with Derek, he kind of opened my eyes, and he was talking about, or I kind of explained, what I wanted to do. And Derek's one of those quiet people that listens, which is awesome. And I'm going to try and convince him if he'll kind of be, if you will, a co-host or something like that. Howard Stern had his two people that was on his MTV show, and I'm by no means a Howard Stearns and don't want to be. But at the same time, you have people to talk to, people to bounce ideas off of. And I don't like the idea of being able to just stare at a camera and just have a conversation with a camera. I want interaction, whether people are saying comments or, even giving thumbs up. But I'm using a software program called Ecamm Live. So I'm not actually on Facebook right now, even though I'm broadcasting to it. But what I've learned is, we've got to have goals. We've got to have something set. And for me, I want to be able to share and provide information. One thing I've learned, though, is that if I just keep providing free information, maybe it'll stick eventually, but I've been coaching for free for a long time. I have paid clients. I also have free ones that don't pay. And it's kind of my way to be able to serve other people and to be able to give that service. One of the interesting indicators, though, when it comes down to the details of it, is I've learned that with those that have free coaching, they tend to not follow through. And it's kind of interesting. It's when they don't have that accountability, they don't do what they need to do. And it's interesting because those that pay for it, they do it because they want it bad enough that they're willing to pay for it. And so I keep trying to think as I kind of whittled out of all of those that I had as far as clients. And that's the great thing about being a life coach is ultimately I'm not someone who drags you along and, oh, you got to come back in 2 weeks. Oh, you should come back next week. Oh, you got to come back in a month. No, my job is to get rid of you as far as a coach is concerned. I've got 2 active coaches in my life right now, and I would always encourage you to have a coach. If it was a perfect world and you had a perfect relationship, it would be your eternal companion. It would be your, best friend, the person that you wake up next to. That would be the greatest thing of all. But a lot of people now in this day and age don't even know how to do that. And they don't even know how to be a best friend or even to not just be a best friend, but how to find one. And that's kind of my journey right now is I'm looking for my best friend. My past best friends, as cool as they were, they're all married, they got their own best friends now. And, it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, it's my journey to be able to find the woman that I want to love for eternity and to wake up next to. And that's even a part of, orange tie-guy, attraction. There are a lot of wonderful women out there that I'm attracted to, but at the same time, it could be that I'm attracted to them as a friend. I find it so fascinating how in this day and age, the way that the world and secular media and everything kind of pops up, whether it's Hallmark, which I detest personally, or whether it's, information that you're getting from the news or other people from MTV, whatever, doesn't matter what medium you're getting it from. But it seems like if I'm a male and I have a girlfriend or a wife, like I can't have any other female friends. That's stupid to me. That's ludicrous. It's the idea of, I'm not going to spend alone time like in a room by ourselves talking about our relationship. No, that's dumb. But as a coach, like that's something I'm able to do with married people, on an individual basis or collectively. And it's something where when my focus and my desire and priority is to be able to help and serve someone, to be able to help them with a problem that I know I can help them with, that's something that drives me. That's my motivation. And yet when we have a secular world out there that teaches you, oh, you know what? Well, say goodbye to all your, single, and then talking about the opposite sex, whether it's men or women in that life. No, I have great relationships with female married friends, and we'll even have conversations when I'll just say, Kimberly. When Kimberly has an issue, fake name. I'm never going to give somebody's real name out there to the public of who I'm coaching or even talking about. But if Kimberly's having an issue and she has a problem, and it's not about her husband in the sense that he's this, he's that. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not authorized or even want to be that. I'm a coach. I'm somebody who sits on the sidelines and either observes or as they're expressing and sharing information, I say, listen, this is where you're wrong, or this is where it needs to be shifted or fixed. Then great. You can go ahead and proceed from there. But I've learned something that's fascinating, and that is just the relationship that you can have with a friend. just somebody to be able to confide in, and to recognize that having friends, people who love and accept you unconditionally, regardless of whether you're married or divorced, whether you're, somebody who is passionate about your religion or politics or whatever it is, it's the fact that it's love. It's the fact of acceptance. And that's something that I've learned ultimately with 2020 is a lot of people have an issue with this idea of charity, of pure love. And I'm not talking about giving things away. It's not the idea of, I don't have my wallet here with me, but like pulling out, cash or something and saying, oh, I need to give to charity. Wrong. That's on the premise of, again, unconditional love. What is charity? Charity is the pure love of Christ, where you are unconditionally living and giving without, and again, it's unconditional, meaning that you're not expecting anything in return. I kind of liken this to the idea of a present. I had a great friend who gave me a tie. Now, she knows I'm the orange tie guy, and she gave me a purple tie. And she's wonderful, and I'm grateful that she even thought of me, and she gave it to me. Well, she gave me the tie, and she knew it was purple, and she's like, hey, so you're going to wear it? And I'm like, you know that I'm the orange tie guy, right? She's like, yeah. She said, you know that I never wear anything that, doesn't have orange in it. Like, it's okay if it's purple, black, green, doesn't matter, as long as it's got orange in it. And she's like, yeah, but, you'll do this for me. And I'm thinking, no, like, I'm the orange tie guy. Now, some may say, oh, man, Anthony, you're so stubborn. You're such a jerk. How dare you? She went out of her way to buy this for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, her purpose of giving it to me obviously was kind enough that she actually gave it to me. But there was the second time or the second side of, she knew that I wouldn't wear anything other than orange unless I compromised my standards. And it's not something where I'm like going to be immoral to it. No, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the idea that I'm just the orange tie guy. I love orange. I've kind of made my own personal commitment. Now, if somebody sees me someday and it's an all black tie and they're like, it's not like I've, gone against my religion and denied my faith or anything like that. It's just, hey, that might happen. But as of right now, I like wearing orange. Orange is in everything that I wear. But it was interesting because later on, I think it was about a month or something later, I had regifted the item to, I think it was like a nephew or a friend or something like that. And I said, yeah, no, a good friend gave this to me, but I want to give it to you and that kind of thing. Well, she came back to me and said, hey, where's the tie? Why aren't you wearing it, et cetera? And I said, hey, well, I gave it to somebody else. I thank you for the gift. I appreciate the idea, the thought behind it. But I gave it to somebody else who was able to use it. And she was like, it was almost like I offended her. And I was like, wait, what? Like, she was like, I gave that to you. That was for you. And I thought to myself, yeah, but you gave it to me. Like, meaning it belongs to me. It's mine to do what I want with it, right? And it's like, no. And it was almost this eye-opener. I'm so grateful for this experience because I don't think we realize how many times we actually have this mentality, this idea, this concept where we give something to somebody else or we offer it to them, right? I'm going to use a nice little Q-tip, concept, but it's like, here, take this. Oh, by the way, there's a condition. Number one, you have to use it. Number two, you have to use it this way. Number three, you have to this. And we kind of leave those conditions. Well, there's a difference between unconditional and conditional. So it was interesting just to see that reaction. And I thought about that in our everyday lives, right? If we're going about doing our business, interacting with other people, building friendships, giving gifts, whatever it is, but we say, oh, but you got to use it this way. You've got to see it this way. Oh, wait. There's this. Well, in behavior theory, there's this thing called codependence. I'm pretty much very passionate about talking about this because I see it in probably most of the relationships I interact with when it comes to husband, wife, friends, single people, doesn't matter, boyfriend, girlfriend, parents and children, all of this. It's the idea of everything's on condition. I will be your friend, but you have to do this. I will do this if you do that. And it's all conditional, all of it. And I find it fascinating when we bring that into an environment or a mentality that should be unconditional. Unconditional? That's what it is. Unconditional. So, charity, the pure love of Christ, right? Where the whole secular world and population have totally eliminated Christ out of it, but they've just said, oh, charity is giving from the heart. No, it's not. It's unconditional love, is what charity is, the pure love of Christ. And so, when it comes down to it, I've come to recognize, you know what? I think I need to preach that more. Whether it's in the gospel oriented or secular oriented, or whether it's business or whether it's personal, I don't care what it is. It's the idea of preaching the simple fact and sharing and teaching and speaking, all of it. I mean, that's a part of what my purpose here on earth is to really serve others unconditionally. But at the same time, if people like it or don't like it, that's up to them. That's fine. That's something that you get to choose for yourself. Do you like it or not? But I've recognized a lot of these fascinating little details over this last year, and I've kind of separated. I had a wonderful virtual relationship with a beautiful girl, and it was interesting to me. I have my backlight. I technically have my office TV stand, and it keeps going into hibernation mode, so I have to keep turning it on. Sorry for all those that are seeing weird lighting off and on. But it's interesting because I had kind of stopped communicating because all of a sudden new things came up. Dad passed away, thinking about money and finances. I keep telling my mom that I'm going to buy her house for her, and she's like, yeah, whatever. It's funny because, I mean, that's a goal of mine. That's a desire of mine. I want to create this simple course, a residual income, something to be able to support her, not just myself, but also to be able to take care of it, because money has always been a problem in the family, right? It's not that we grew up poor. My mom did too, but it's the idea that, I want to make sure she's taken care of, for sure. And I think every one of my siblings are thinking the same thing. But I also can see a way to do that. But I've come to recognize that, let's say, for example, I wanted to reach out to her again. And I all of a sudden have this time to be able to have a social or a personal relationship again. And I reach out, and let's say Brenda, right? It's like I reach out and say, hey, Brenda, I know it's been a couple months. I didn't wish you a Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving or happy Christmas or, New Year or anything like that. But hey, how are you doing? How's things going? It's fascinating, or it would be fascinating if I was to do that, to see where the approach was, whether or not she would respond. Whether it would be like, excuse me, you haven't talked to me or messaged me or connected or reached out to me for 6 months, and now all of a sudden you expect this. What's funny is I hear these stories over and over and over and over again online from people. Oh, I've been ghosted. I think it's the stupidest term and mentality in my ever. The idea that you expect someone to always be at your beck and call. And some people may justify that and say, no, it's just respectful to respond. Yeah, well, how do you know that their cat just didn't die? Or their parent? Or that they, somehow fell in a crevice and went into a coma for 2 months? Do they need to have to explain themselves and justify why they didn't reach out to you? No, they don't. But it's interesting with a lot of us, right, that are raised by media, raised by, entertainment and news and everything that's being told to us around us, how we should live and think and all of this stuff, rather than seeking for ourselves and identifying, you know what, I'm going to be a thought investor. Like I said, being the orange tie guy, one of my purposes and feel my goals are to be a thought investment encourager. Think for yourself. Stop following the norm of what the world would tell you and saying, you need to be this way. If they don't do this, then they do that or this. No. You have full control and choice over your thoughts and actions. And I would fully encourage you to get rid of that stupid mentality of, again, this ghosting thing. No. I had one experience. I've probably shared this in the past, but I love it because it illustrates a great point. We are terrible at communication. We are terrible. We have all of these awesome instruments and abilities to communicate, and we suck at communicating. We can express effectively. We can vent. We can just, if you want to call it, mind dump. But as far as communicating, and I would even put it one little step further or a tier above that, connecting. We're terrible at connecting. I find it awesome when I go through a process that I found on my mission in Pennsylvania. And it's just really build a relationship of trust. It's really what it is. It's the idea of getting to know them, listening, asking questions, making a friend, being authentic. I call it today V-Stag. I think about a stag, right? A stag is a male deer. He's got a nice, big old V instead of antlers. He's got a big old V on his forehead. So V-Stag, vulnerable, sincere, transparent, authentic, and genuine. I think if we were to have that in our mindset when we are reaching out to others or even with ourselves, because I think we have a terrible problem of not knowing who we are personally. I struggled for my whole entire youth before my mission at 19 of, not knowing who I was. I was troubled because if other people bullied me or called me names or said I didn't fit in or that I didn't work or this or that, whatever you want to call it, I was troubled because it's like, well, I'm worthless or I'm not of value or I'm this or I'm that. Wrong. It was all crap. It was all garbage that was fed to me. And it wasn't by my family, it wasn't by my faith or my religion. It was by the people that were there to tear me down. And it's interesting because I think when we recognize and we open up to who we really are, I think that's when we can be vulnerable. We can be sincere. We can be transparent and authentic and genuine. And I think when we actually embrace that and say, you know what, I'm not afraid to be myself. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I'm not afraid to act or, express. Now, don't get me wrong, that may come with some backlash, right? My friend, I don't know if I said it, her name was Brenda, whoever gave me the tie. But, in that sense, she may hear this and be like, Anthony, how dare you tell this story? Or, oh, that's not the way it went. This is how I recall it, right? And it may come with some backlash, but guess what? That happens. I'm always open to feedback. In fact, I want you guys to make some comments on this video. Anthony, you sucked. Stop talking about yourself, start talking about dating or the orange tie guy or, stop talking about those things. Great. Give me something, right? It's feedback. And the cool thing about it is I get to decide what I do with it. I can look and I can obsess about it and be like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. And why can they think about me that way? Or, oh, I'm so frustrated and I'm sad. No. I mean, that's an option, but I'm not going to do that. I don't think I'll do that anyway. But what I want to express to you, simple, straight and to the point, is when it boils down to it, this is a new year. This is a new Friday Night with Anthony White. This is, December 1st of 2021. And for me, I see it as a light of hope. I'm going to start doing some webinars. I'm going to start posting some Zooms. I have my group page, which is the Orange Tie Guy. And I think I'm going to start doing those. So I can do webinars with people, groups, where we can have chats and conversations. I'm going to still try and do Friday Night with Anthony White because I know a lot of people over the last few months have been piping up. And a good one told me last night, and she says, what's the deal? I don't see your videos anymore. I said, I've kind of been, working on some other stuff. So this is my, road to repentance to say, okay, yeah, now I'm going to start posting more and try and share a little bit more light of what's in my life with other people. But I'm going to do that on my other pages too. I'm going to do that on, the Orange Tie Guy. I'm going to do it on Celestial Dating. And for me, those are my passions. I want to serve those who are stuck like I've been stuck. I can empathize and see where they are because I've been there. Whether they've gone through 3 engagements, whether they've gone through a short, less than 2-year marriage, whether they've gone through a divorce, whether they've felt depressed or suicidal, whether they felt like they were worthless, or had no value. I can add some value. And I think I owe it not only to my Heavenly Father for all the blessings and gifts and opportunities, including the trials and troubles I've been through, but I think I owe it to everyone that comes across, whether it's a Facebook post or a YouTube video, to be able to give some insight. It may not solve problems because that's not my goal. I'm not here to solve somebody's problem. I'm here to add perspective, to offer and to give, to be able to really just, again, say, hey, I've got something that might help you out. If it helps you out, awesome. And if it doesn't, awesome. But either way, I'm going to place it there on that altar. You can take it or not, but as I walk away, whatever you do with it, that's your choice. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move forward. But one of my pains, and I think this is probably the biggest one for me, is to get over my perfectionism. And that's why I didn't clean up my office. That's why I left everything all chaotic and just focused on doing this, is because, you know what? I'm always thinking to myself, well, I got to have it right. I've got to have it perfect. I have to have it, the way that I planned. And I mean, I've put in hundreds of hours to be able to create these courses. And it's like, I just got to put something out there for people to be able to see if this is beneficial for them, to see if they want it. Because I mean, there are some people that just don't want it, and that's fine. Not a problem. I don't want this to be a burden for people. And I mean, even now we're 26 plus minutes in talking into this, but I want to serve and I want to help by adding just a little slight option to be able to give somebody that correct mindset. So as a commitment, if nothing else, I'm going to start creating online courses. I'm going to start creating courses, or I should say they're created, but I'm going to start posting courses for people if they want to buy them. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I had a friend actually bring up to me, he's like, Anthony, I don't know if you know, but theorangetieguy.com is down. Like it's been, I think he called it harbored or something like that. But yes, my website's down for now. I'm still trying to work out exactly how this is going to function, but I've got my Facebook pages. I've got people who can private message me if they want. They can message me through all different mediums. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create courses. I'm going to create groups. I'm going to create webinars so that people can talk. And it's going to change. It's not going to be something form-fitted. It's going to be catered so that I can serve other people, because the best way that I know how is by speaking, listening, and talking. And not a lot of people want to hear my voice. I hear it actually probably a few times a week. People tell me I have a radio voice. I don't think so, but maybe I do. I don't know. But I definitely have a face for radio. That's for sure. But when it comes to my voice, that's something that God's given me so that I can actually share with other people, not just my experiences, but to be able to open up and say, you know what? This is what I've been through, or what other people have shared with me and allowed me to share with you, again, through confidentiality, to be able to not share who they are, but the experiences that they've been through, so that you, whoever wants to listen, whoever wants to tune in, can be able to learn from it and say, you know what, this has helped me, because I'm an emotional guy, just so you know, if this is something you don't know. But when I was down, and at a really, really low point in my life, one man said something where it changed my life. Because I was ready to end it all. Thankfully, I was in the right place at the right time. And he doesn't know. I even told him, I said, you have no idea what you've done for me today. And he said, well, I'm just grateful I could be here to share. And change everything. I'm here right now, being able to speak to you because of that. So I hope this wasn't a downer for Friday Night with Anthony White. And I hope all of you can plan and make goals and recognize you are so, so valuable. And I love every one of you. Thanks for joining me with Friday Night with Anthony White.